Alliance. Are you ready to build a meaningful and engaging brand? Give First Class Alliance a call at 305-707-7173. First Class Alliance was voted as one of the top 15 digital marketing agencies by the South Florida Business Journal, specializing in branding, product launch strategy, and digital marketing. First Class Alliance can really help you grow your business and maximize your profits. Give us a call at 305-707-7173 or find us on the web at firstclassalliance.com. That's firstclassalliance.com.
Now you can get Talk 1470 WNN on 95.3 FM too. Loud and clear. Health and Wealth Radio, WNN.
Hi, I'm Judith Light. So there you are. It's flu season, and you're over 65 like me. You're having another busy year. So much to do, so many roles in life to play. But you feel like you might be forgetting something serious. Your annual flu shot. And before you know it, it's too late. It's not just the aches, fever, and chills that last for days and days. The flu can be life-threatening, especially if you have chronic conditions like diabetes and heart disease, which can worsen with the flu. Being active and healthy alone won't protect you. The immune system weakens with age, making you more susceptible to the flu. If you're over 65, ask about your vaccine options, including one made specifically for us. An annual flu shot is the best way to help keep the flu away. Visit the National Council on Aging at ncoa.org/flu to learn more and talk to your doctor or pharmacist about vaccine options for people 65 and older. Again, that's ncoa.org/flu.
Talk 1470 is WWNN Pompano Beach and 95.3 FM W237BD Boca Raton, the Health and Wealth Radio Network.
Lupus. It's one of the cruelest, most mysterious diseases on Earth. Lupus strikes without warning, can ravage any part of the body, and has no known cause and no known cure. Its health effects range from a skin rash to a heart attack. Lupus is an unpredictable and misunderstood disease that's difficult to diagnose, hard to live with, and a challenge to treat. Help us solve the cruel mystery. We're the Lupus Foundation of America, the only national force devoted to solving the mystery of lupus. We lead the fight to improve the quality of life for all people affected by this devastating disease. To learn more about lupus and how we can help those who suffer from its brutal impact, visit us online at lupus.org or call the Lupus Foundation of America at 1-800-558-0121. That's 1-800-558-0121.
1470 AM and 95.3 FM, the Health and Wealth Radio Network. Tune in for Barry's Supplement Hour with Keith Nevins, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 11 a.m. WNN.
If you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, tune in to the Dr. Bob Martin Show. From erectile dysfunction to eczema, heartburn to headaches, carpal tunnel to how to lower cholesterol drug-free. Sunday mornings at 10. On Talk 1470 WNN.
Talk here. Talk there. Talk 1470 AM and 95.3 FM. The Health and Wealth Radio Network. WNN.
The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of the station, its staff, management, or sponsors. Welcome to the Golf and Travel Show, the place to fine-tune your swing, dress for the course, club, or cruise, and get tips on the best places to play and stay at the right price. Vacation or staycation, host Dan Shub, along with his expert co-hosts and guests, will tell you where to go. To play golf and vacation, that is. Now, here's Dan.
Welcome to the Golf and Travel Show. I'm your host, Dan Schub, and tonight, like always, we're going to be talking some golf. We'll be talking some travel. I'll be giving you some tips. I'll have some great deals for you later in the show, and I am going to recap a trip that I just took this past week. As a matter of fact, I just got back late last night to New Orleans, one of my favorite places to go to, and I can give you some tips and as I run down some of the things that I did and some of the really cool places that I ate at, which is one of my favorite things to do in New Orleans, give you a quick review and some advice so that all of you know where to go and what to do in this great American city. First, though, like I typically like to do, we like to talk a little bit about golf. And, of course, this week is the Players' Championship. So it's considered the fifth major. Some of obviously the best golfers in the world are all in the field. And a little early to talk about too much because obviously it's still got to play its way through the weekend until we know what goes on. But it's an exciting time for me to be able to watch the big events because as a spectator, while I do like to watch every week, I definitely get, just like the players, a little bit more up for the bigger tournaments, the majors. And of course, like I said earlier, that this is not quite a major, but pretty close. So it's fun to watch. And but in the meantime, I've been keeping up on the news with some of the other stuff that's been going on in and around the golf world, both nationally, internationally, and locally. And just in case you're not up on all of the news, I figured I'd share just a little bit with you. A story that I've been hearing about, rumors and just all sorts of strange talk for a year or maybe even 2 years about TaylorMade, who is arguably the largest manufacturer of golf equipment in the world. Lately, Callaway's been trying to challenge them again for that number one spot, but pretty much TaylorMade has been at the top of the golf world for a decade or more. And there have been rumors for the past year or two that they were going to be sold off. Adidas out of Germany has been the owner, and they just have not been happy with the performance of the brand. And I've always said that much of it was their own doing or undoing. It was kind of like the golden egg or the cash cow, or they were putting out drivers and irons and they were selling like crazy, and every time they came out with a new model, it sold more. So they just coming out with new models all the time and just bringing out new product lines. And what happened is that the retailers and the pro shops that had to purchase this inventory was very, very quickly left with some expensive old product on their shelves that they had to dump somewhere, which could be at the Costco's of the world or the Walmarts or places like that, or eBay. And then people kind of got wise to that you could wait 6 months and get your driver for half the price. 6 months later, it's still an excellent product. It just wasn't working. So they needed to make changes and they really needed to unload it. So, rumors such as people like Tiger Woods, supposedly, the rumor was that maybe he would, jump ship from Nike and start playing TaylorMade and actually, purchase, or be a partner in a purchase. And that was, I guess, nothing but rumors. But as it turns out, just this past week, it seems that they finally were sold to a company called KPS Capital Partners. So it's an investment company that, or a hedge fund. They invest in, what they look at as undervalued companies that they have an opportunity to bring their, management expertise to and, turn them into either more profitable companies or then go ahead and flip them to somebody else down the road for a sizable profit. So, it'll be interesting to see what happens with TaylorMade. I think the fact that it's not a company that's already been in the golf business is probably a plus because chances are it's not going to change significantly. They're going to be continued to operate as TaylorMade, as an independent golf company. This is just a company that has some management smarts, and it seems that that's possibly what TaylorMade needed. Interestingly enough, this past week, though, also a big announcement from TaylorMade that not Tiger Woods, who was playing Nike, but his partner in crime, Rory McIlroy, who was on the Nike staff with him, looking for a long time for an opportunity to switch to another brand who is still making clubs and golf balls. And he signed with TaylorMade a long-term agreement. I believe the details, I don't think they've officially been released, But rumor, again, there's always a lot of rumors in the golf industry. Rumor has it that it might be for 10 years and for upwards of $100 million. So that is a sizable contract for Rory, especially in these days whereby there are so many great golfers out there that are all fighting to play on the weekend and get the TV time for themselves and their sponsors' brands to be seen on TV. So it was a big jump, and I hope the new owners were aware of it before it, rather than just inheriting that on their balance sheet. But I guess it's a good investment. Rory, he's a good representative. I think he's got some game. I had heard something today that perhaps he had a recurring injury. I didn't get all the details on it, but I saw something earlier today. And that can happen. But he does have a good reputation as being a decent guy, and the fans seem to like him. And obviously he's an international player. He does play all over the world. So hopefully that will turn out to be a good investment for TaylorMade. So, and their new owners. So we'll find out. A little bit closer to home, I wanted to just give you a brief update on a golf course that I have had an opportunity to play. It's been a long time, but they happen to be the host of some, big name of events such as the Shark Shootout that's been played there for many, many, many years. Now I guess it, let's see, has a different, well, I don't know. There's a couple of events. There's an LPGA event, that's been played there as well. This is, Tiburon. Now, Tiburon is, in Naples at the Ritz-Carlton, and, it's being closed for a major renovation. So, again, being a place that I've had an opportunity to play, and Naples is a place that I like to go visit. It's a short drive from here on the east coast of Florida, and it has a whole different feel over there on the west coast of Florida. And Naples is just full of great golf courses. This is just one of them. Actually, they have two Greg Norman designed golf courses on the property, the Gold and the Black. And that particular Ritz-Carlton is a place that, it exemplifies the Ritz-Carlton brand. It's just the service is excellent. Being that it's inland and off the beach, Naples is one of the very few towns that I know of in the world that actually has two Ritz-Carltons, one on the beach and then this one, which is off the beach. And just as a heads up, while I haven't seen any deals yet, but keep your eye out for the Ritz-Carlton golf resort in the summer months, because I've seen over the years that typically they have some major discounts, and you can get to stay there, obviously for about half the price that you would pay during the peak season. And the rest of the town is a good place to go in the off season as well, because everything in Naples is expensive. They've got great shops, boutiques and stuff. It's all high end stuff. But in the summer, they've got these incredible sidewalk sales where you can walk down Fifth Avenue there, where they have a lot of really nice shops, and everything is marked down. The restaurants you can actually get into, and they've got specials going on. And being that you're right there on the Gulf, you get a little bit of a breeze, and it's quite delightful, even though it's the hot summer. It's a good place to go. And the Ritz-Carlton, and having an opportunity to play Tiburon, which I don't know when it's going to open. Probably not until after the summer would be my guess. But they still have their other golf course that will be open, so you might be able to find yourself a really good deal. So I would check that out. Now, speaking of really good deals, I've got a bunch for you later, and I always like to save them until the end, but I've got another minute or two until we go to our first break, so let's see what I can throw out there for you. Well, obviously, first of all, I'm going to be talking quite a bit about, some of the travel stuff and about my trip, so you'll be hearing about that later. But here's a good deal for you. This is a place that I'm actually going to be staying at later this month as well. I've stayed there many, many times. I talk about it all the time, especially when the Honda Classic is being played there, and that's PGA National Resort and Spa. My office happens to be across the street from there up in Palm Beach Gardens here in Florida. And that, too, is a place, PGA Tour caliber champion course, as well as, I believe, like 4 other golf courses on property that are all excellent. And it's very expensive to stay there in the peak season. But in the summer, they've got some great deals. And I just saw that from May 25th to September 30th, you can get a room starting at $94.50 per person per night. And that not only includes your room, but full breakfast and a round of golf and a complimentary replay round. 50% off daily golf clinics, access to the Waters of the World pools at the spa. You just got to pay a $35 cart fee to play. And if you do want to play the champion course, there is a $50 surcharge. But the round of golf and the replay that's complimentary is available on the Fazio, the Squire, or the Estates course, which are all wonderful golf courses. This is available from May 25th to September 30th. Kids 12 and under stay for free. And they also play golf for free, and they also eat breakfast for free. So the kids 12 and under play golf for free after 2 p.m. with an accompanying adult round, and you do have to still pay the cart fee. But still, this is an incredible deal for just a great resort. You can find out more information by going to pgaresort.com, or you can give them a call at 800-863-2819. So that's a early deal of for tonight, one of Dan's deals. What we're going to do is we're going to take our first break, and then I'm going to talk, I think, a little bit about my trip to New Orleans. So it's a fun town, and I'll give you some insight so that you know what to expect and where to go when you get there. So stay tuned. We'll be back with more of the Golf and Travel Show. And we are back. And if your business needs industrial workers, or if you're looking for work, you need to call Labor Finders. Labor Finders places for temporary or temporary to hire opportunities for skilled, semi-skilled, or general labor positions such as plumbers, electricians, concrete workers, forklift operators, hospitality, office clerical, and so much more. Labor Finders has almost 200 offices nationwide. Near here in Boca Raton, they have offices in Homestead, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach, and in Jupiter. So if you need legal insured workers, or if you're looking for work, call Labor Finders toll free at 800-864-7749. That's 800-864-7749, or just visit laborfinders.com. And we are back. And as promised, I'm going to give you a bit of the lowdown on my trip this week to New Orleans, one of my favorite cities to visit. And if you haven't been there, you need to get there, because I'm sure it'll be a great city for you as well. First of all, getting there, getting back. I mentioned last week I'd be flying on my favorite airline, which is Southwest, and going there was perfect. No delays. Everything went according to plan. Checked one of my bags for free, which is always nice. Coming back, there were some delays. It was an evening flight, and during the day, they had fallen behind almost like 40, 50 minutes. Luckily, the plane did eventually get there, and the pilot tried to pick up some of the time, so we actually landed only about 20 minutes late. He picked up half the time in the air, which is not so bad at the end of the day, and did not check my bag that time, so I was out of the airport in a hurry and quite happy about it. While I was there on business, I was working a convention. The first day that I got there, I got into town early. And the neat thing about taking Southwest out of Fort Lauderdale, which is a bit of a drive for me up in Martin County, it's nonstop. So you're only in the air for about an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes. So it's really easy to get to New Orleans. Typically, the cost is very, very reasonable. I recently saw a round trip fare on American out of Miami for about $129 or $139 round trip, I'm talking. So it's an inexpensive place to get to. This particular trip, I stayed at the JW Marriott, which is in the Central Business District, just a block or so away from the French Quarter. And it was about 10 blocks from the convention center. So it's a bit of a walk to the convention center, but I got a good deal. Different discounts you can use. For this particular trip, I used my AAA membership and got a rate of $195 a night. Sounds a little bit high, but the convention I was attending, the least expensive room was about $220 or $225, and that was at like a Hampton Inn or something. So I was staying in much fancier digs. Fortunately for me, also a gold member currently of the Marriott Affinity program. So they give me an upgraded room. They give me concierge level experience so that I can get breakfast, drinks in the evening, snacks, desserts, things like that. The breakfast was kind of a continental breakfast, kicked up a few notches. They did have some hot eggs and, bacon and sausage and breakfast sandwiches. And, overall, it's a great place to stay. So I recommend the JW Marriott is one of the good hotels. I mean, there's obviously a plethora, but this particular trip I was there and it was good. So I like to let you know about it. As far as things to do, as I said, I got there early on my first day, and I only had a little bit of work that I had to accomplish. I had to set up my booth before 5 o'clock, but other than that, I had the day available. So my buddy who I travel with, who is a Tulane graduate, so he knows New Orleans very, very well, and he tries to set stuff up for us to do and recommend some of the restaurants. So he picked me up, he rented a car, picked me up at the airport, and from there we went to Audubon Park, which is a beautiful city park, right in the middle of the city pretty much, and heading kind of towards the Uptown or the Garden District from the Central Business District. But a beautiful, manageable park. It's got a nice little lake and walking paths, and a couple people rode by on horses, and we picked up some sandwiches at one of these local places, which is a whole trip. I'm not going to talk about it because the food was good, but it took way too long. But we got our po' boys, and we took them to the park, and we had a picnic lunch out there, and it was just delightful. So, walked around a little bit. So I recommend Audubon Park. But right across the street from Audubon Park is Audubon Zoo. So from the park, we went across the street to the zoo. And I got to tell you, I've been to a lot of zoos in my day, including some of the more famous ones like the San Diego Zoo, for instance. But this was a great little zoo. It was not huge, so it was manageable. And the people that worked there, most of them volunteers, were incredibly friendly and informative. All they wanted to do was tell you what they knew about the different animals that you had an opportunity to see pretty close up, that were in their own habitats, that were well designed so that the animals were well taken care of. It was, you can tell. They even would sometimes, it was close to feeding time, so they would make sure to do a feeding right when we were there so that we could get to see the animals a little bit closer up. And, things like, what's typical to that region, of course, they had reptiles and snakes and alligators and stuff like that, but also some beautiful birds and deer and, boar and, what else did they have? Giraffes and bears, and it was just very, very cool. And, as an adult, sometimes we forget to do things that perhaps we might otherwise do with our kids. Now that my kids are grown and I don't take them to the zoo any longer, every once in a while you have to take the opportunity to do something like that and enjoy yourself as if you were a kid. So that was very, very cool. Now, keep in mind, of course, at night, New Orleans is a place to enjoy yourself as an adult more than as a kid. And I did, actually all 3 nights we ended up eating dinner in the French Quarter, which is, unusual for us because we typically try and hit some of the places that are less touristy and more of the locals kind of know about, and they may often be outside the French Quarter. But interestingly enough, I went to these 3 restaurants, 2 traditional, one a little bit more nouveau or nouvelle. The one thing in common was I did have the same dessert at each location, which was bread pudding, which New Orleans is famous for, and all of the restaurants kind of compete as to who has the best bread pudding. So I thought it would be really cool if at each restaurant I tried it so that I could actually compare. So I'm going to give you the lowdown on these 3 restaurants in the French Quarter so that you can decide where to go. First, we went to a place called the Bon Ton Cafe, which is very, very well known. Not a big restaurant, so you do need to have a reservation. By the way, all the restaurants in town, the convention I was at was not even a big convention. This was early in the week. They were all packed. The more famous places like Felix's or Acme for oysters, lines of 40, 50 people on the sidewalk waiting to get in every night. So it's not an easy town to negotiate. So you kind of have to have your plans in advance and your reservations all made if you want it to be seamless. So at Bon Ton Cafe, I wanted to order the soft shell crab. From what I understand, that's in season right now. So I thought that would be really cool. That's one of my favorite dishes. Unfortunately, they were out of it. So instead, I ordered something that's a very traditional New Orleans fish dish that I haven't had a chance to ever try before, and that was their redfish. So I got their redfish bonton, which came with a really nice sauce and some shredded crab meat on top of it, and it was just excellent. I really enjoyed it, so I'll be doing redfish again. I mean, the redfish is really like a whitefish. It's a delicate fish, and it's really in the way that they cook it and season it, and this was a very traditional kind of a preparation for New Orleans, Creole kind of a thing. So I really enjoyed it. We didn't do a lot. I had no raw oysters, by the way. You know that old wives' tale that they say that if it's a month that has an R in it, it's okay, and if it doesn't, it's not okay. And that has to do with the waters being too warm. You want your oysters to be from cold waters. I asked a few people about it as an old wives' tale. They said, well, some years, the weather stays cold a little bit longer, so it doesn't always apply. But kind of, yeah, I guess it is true. But in any event, so I did enjoy it. I have to say that the service, though, was a little bit uneven there. It was okay, but it was questionable. But at the end, of course, I went for that bread pudding, which is my personal favorite. And they prepared it in a very, very traditional manner with whiskey sauce, which is one of the ways. And it was quite well done. And they served it, if you wanted, with butter pecan ice cream, which I'm not a huge fan of, but I like it better than I like vanilla. So I gave them points for that at least. And I got to tell you, though, that whiskey sauce, it was not short on the whiskey. So that's a good thing, though. And it was an enjoyable night and a traditional dinner in the French Quarter. So the Bon Ton is a place that I would recommend checking out. The next evening, we went to another very traditional place. This was the evening we were thinking about getting the oysters at Acme or Felix's, and they were just too crowded. So we happened to be walking past this place, and I've been there once before. It's one of the restaurants of many owned by members of the Brennan family, which are a famous family of restaurateurs in New Orleans. And this was Mr. B's Bistro. And like I say, the last time I ate there, it was excellent. So we figured we would try it again. And this time I did order the soft shell crab. And they did an excellent job with it. It was lightly fried and crispy, and it was on top of what was it on top of? I don't even remember, but it was excellent. But once again, the service was lacking, and it was surprising because this place, typically, it's known to have good service. We were fortunate to even get a table. They put us in a room that I didn't even know existed. It wasn't the main dining room, and it was packed, and it was noisy, and the service was not good. And we actually said something, and they offered to comp dessert for all of us because they didn't disagree that their service was not up to standard. So, of course, we got the bread pudding, which, again, was with an Irish whiskey sauce. And it was decent, comparable to the one at Bon Ton. They both, I would say, were competitive, and they were good. So Mr. B's Bistro, again, right in the French Quarter, I'd give it another try. It may have been an off night. It was a little crowded, so I'll check it out again. The last evening, though, and this evening I was on my own, so I went to a place that I've been at before that I really liked and I wanted to go back to. Sat at the bar, had a great experience, excellent service, a restaurant called G.W. Finn's just off of Bourbon Street. And I still was trying to get that soft shell crab that I had a hankering for yet again. And once again, it was on the menu and they had run out. This was later in the evening, so they didn't have it. So I had to go with what was something I had considered the last time, and it's something that they are